We are the hosts of the Creative Rebels podcast.
A podcast to help you find happiness and fulfillment in a creative career.
This series of videos we're calling Creative Thinking, and it's where we are going to be directly answering your questions.
Whether you're a freelancer, creative professional, or you're just getting started, we're here to help.
There's literally never been a better time in history to make a career from being creative. So many people are going to tell you that you can't do it, but we're here to tell you that you definitely can.
Welcome back, Rebels, to another episode of Creative Thinking.
Yes, today we're joined by Camilla Ainsworth. She's been on the telly and that.
Yes, I have.
And we're going to be answering some of your questions.
Fabulous. Right, another question from SharMed283. He says, I am in the startup phase. I get hit with imposter syndrome affecting my confidence. How do you deal? It's a good question.
When me, Adam and Jonna first started this business, Adam and I had very little business experience and Jonna had quite a bit more than we did. And I would find myself going into meetings and just having to wing it and being like, I don't really know what the expected behavior is here. So I'm just waiting for whatever you say and then I'll react to it. And it just took time. It took time and confidence. And me and Ad went to a meeting together once, and when we came out of it, we both said to each other, wow, that was the first time we didn't blag anything.
Yeah, it was great.
Because in the
It
beginning,
so vividly as well.
Because in the beginning, people were saying, oh, do you think you could do this? And we were going like, yeah, definitely. And I don't think we had imposter syndrome because we knew that whatever was thrown at us, we could deal with. We would work it out. We'd find a way to do it. I don't know if I've ever suffered with imposter syndrome. I've always felt like I'm on a journey, and if I don't know how to do this, I can work it out.
Yeah.
So like getting on stage and speaking, like the audiences get bigger and bigger, but you just sort of think, well, I did a small audience, so I can do a bigger audience. It's still the same thing. I'm still confident in my.
Yeah. I think like for me, when I started doing portrait photography, that was probably when I felt the most imposter syndrome, because I'd gone from like traveling, taking photos, getting a big Instagram following, and then being like, oh, I want to do portrait photography now, messaging some people and being like, fancy doing a portrait shoot when I'd never done one before.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like waiting for them to turn up and thinking like, they're going to think I'm a proper photographer who's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And I remember like the first few shoots I went on, people would ask me questions about like if they were models in the industry and stuff, and they would asking me industry related things, and I was just like, just blagged them, because I was just like, I don't want to be seen as like someone who doesn't know what they're doing, because this person's put their time and the trust in me that I'm going to produce something good.
Yeah.
So it's a real hard one.
So just fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
What kind of questions were they asking?
Just kind of like would be like terminology within the industry that I wouldn't know about. So it could be like, so for example, like at the end of a shoot now, I'll send over what's called a contact sheet. So it'll be like previously,
The one with all the hundreds of pictures in it.
So like back in the day, you would have got like film rolls all scanned out, and then someone from the magazine or something would go and circle the ones they wanted. These days, you can just kind of export them all onto a PDF. So when the shoot's finished, I'll send out all of the photos in a PDF so they can go through and pick the numbers that they like. Yeah. And so someone at the end of the first shoot, someone was like, oh, are you going to send me through a contact sheet? And I was like, yeah.
Yes, I am.
Then,
one of those.
Yeah, and I went straight home and like Googled, what is a contact sheet?
You wouldn't know.
And then like people messaging, like models messaging me like, do you shoot on a TFP basis? And I was like, what the fuck's a TFP? Which is like test for print or kind of trade for pictures. People have got different acronyms for it. But that kind of comes down to like, that's basically like, will you do a free shoot for me?
Yeah.
In exchange for like, I get a model, it will improve my portfolio, improve their portfolio.
Yeah.
So it's like that exchange.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first, like when things come in, I was just like, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that, because I experienced that with Holland and Barrett, obviously. I did law at uni, so I'm not going to say I've got loads of experience in products or anything like that. So for me, I'm teaching myself as I go along. So when I got into Holland and Barrett, they used loads of like abbreviations for words that I don't have a clue what they mean. So for ages, I was getting the sales figures, And I thought the girl, my buyer, thought they were really bad because she was like, wow, like this, you know, wow, and then this amount. And I'd be like, oh no. And they'd be in like capitals, you know, and I'd be thinking, oh, like, when wow is like sarcastic. Anyway, turns out it's week on week. So and I was like, oh my God, as if I was getting all like het up thinking that she was being like, wow, these, you know, are not good. But they were good figures. And I was thinking, why is she being like this? And it came about that it meant week on week, which you just wouldn't know. Like, you know, no one teaches you these things, and it's a case of winging it as you go along.
It is, and we were talking earlier when we were answering another question about reading all the books before you start a business. But it's like little things like that. It's not going to be in a book, like all the terminology and stuff. You just learn that by throwing yourself into it. And imposter syndrome is something that you're creating for yourself. Because you're telling yourself, I shouldn't be here. I'm going to be found out. I'm a fraud. And really that's only you that's saying that. And I mean, if you're new in business and you don't know a terminology, like, don't feel bad about that, because all it is that's something that you haven't learned yet. And I think if anyone tries to make you feel bad about something that they know that you don't know, it's like, what's that about? You know, it's like all of us are born knowing zero, and then we just pick up some things. And sometimes Adam will tell me something that I've never, ever heard of. And it's like, but that's fine. You just haven't learned it yet.
And I think that we were talking about earlier off mic about how if someone's asked you to come and do something, they think you're good enough. So that's the most important thing. Like if someone says, can you come and do some photos for me? Can you come and do a talk for me? And you feel like an imposter going into that situation, like these people have had the confidence to come and ask you to do it. So they think you're good enough. So just because in yourself, you're not as good, it's like comparing your first chapter to someone else's 20th. It's like, just because you're not the person you aspire to be, you're still good enough that someone else thinks that you're good enough.
Definitely. And that stems back to the point, I've got a talk tomorrow and I was feeling a little bit nervous just due to the lineup. But, you know, you can't overthink it.
Who's on the bell?
Pardon?
Who's on the bell?
Oh, so we've got Pierce Linney from Dragon's Den, Rowena Bird, Lush founder, 900 million turnover, nothing big. And then Social Chain co-founder. And then who else is it? Someone
Grenade
else.
people.
Grenade. Oh, how could I forget? Yeah. So Alan and Juliet Barrett, who exited for just a mere 72 million. And then I was joking to Adam, you know, and then there's me. But, you know, it's covering a load of different entrepreneurs. You've got like one that's relatively new, and then you've got others that are more established, and I think that's good. But the more you think about it and obsess about it, the more you're gonna cement this imposter syndrome. And I don't get it a lot, but I did get a little bit for this event, purely because it's a little bit out of my comfort zone.
So how are you dealing with that?
So, you know, I may not be the biggest person, the biggest name that everyone knows, but I'm invited there for a reason. So you've just got to not overthink it and think, you know, everyone's focusing on their own journey. No one's actually bothered about like how you feel, or no one's thinking that you're an imposter.
That's the thing. It's a huge opportunity, because no one is gonna go, what are you doing on this stage? They're gonna go, that sounds interesting, and maybe they might want to collaborate with you or help you even. Like it's an opportunity, rather than seeing it as like, oh, they're all gonna, like, everyone's gonna laugh at me or whatever. It's like that. I suppose that's where the human brain goes to, isn't it? We default to the worst things that might happen to us, because it's our brain's trying to protect us from going into danger. But really, like, you know, deep down when you think about it properly, that like, you're meant to be there, and it's a good opportunity.
I think, ask yourself, can you do this? And if the answer is yes, you're not an imposter.
Yeah.
If someone pays you to design a website and you've never done a website before, maybe don't say yes to that. Then you're going to feel like an imposter. But so if you feel like, yes, I can do this, then you're not an imposter, and have that mindset of like, can I do this? Yes.
And if he's feeling like he's getting imposter syndrome, he's already a step ahead of those who aren't even putting themselves in a position to be an imposter. Do you know what I mean? So already you've come a lot further than those who aren't even out of their comfort zones enough to feel that way. So give yourself a pat on the back for having those feelings.
Yeah, so that's self-awareness.
It means that you're actually doing something a bit scary. And good things don't come from comfort zones.
Exactly.
Favourite little cliche. But yeah, just don't overthink it. That's what I would say.
We hope you enjoyed that episode. If you have a question, just leave it in the comments below.
If you got any value from this episode, please leave it a thumbs up. And if you want to watch more content from us, please subscribe.
And if you know someone who might get value from this episode, please share it with them.
See ya.